You're listening to Good Morning Gwinnett, a division of Noise Media Network, hosted by Audrey Bell Kearney, sharing stories about people and places around beautiful Gwinnett County and beyond. Monday through Thursday at 10 a.m. Southern living at its best.
Good morning, all my Gwinnetians out there in Gwinnett land and all of you around the world listening to the sound of my voice. It is a beautiful day here in Gwinnett County. Hope your morning has started off amazing. Mine did. It's 67 degrees going up to a high of 80, and it's going to be beautiful all day long. It's going to be warm, though. It's going to be warm. That's a good thing. I got a bowl tonight. Y'all know I got a bowl, so I got to, I can't be hanging out all day because let me tell y'all, when I don't rest before I go bowling, I suck. So I'm trying not to suck. Last week we won 2 games, so I was happy about that. I came in, I did good in the third frame. I did really good. So went practicing all week. So hopefully I'll do better this week. So I've been practicing. So my practice, because remember I told y'all I'm like exercising. And so I got my guest today. She's gonna tell me why exercise is super duper important, especially for me because I have all kind of aches and pains. And so I'm happy to have her today. So before we get on with my guest today, I'm sure you guys are gonna enjoy this because she's gonna give us some good information on how we can live a healthier life. And exercise is one of the things I know that, but I don't like it. So what I did was I discovered that I like to bowl. So why not bowl 3 days a week? I bowl in the league on Thursdays, Tuesdays and Sundays. I bowl for practice, which makes me better. So that's my exercise. But today is National Nut Day. So y'all know how I love nuts. So I don't have any. I ran out. I had a nice can of cashews. I love nuts. I love nuts. I like fruits and nuts. You would think that I'd be super duper 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 healthy. I'm not bad. But I probably be better if I ate more fruit. But I do eat fruits and I love nuts. Like I'm a nut lover. I used to eat macadamias all the time. I used to love macadamias. Macadamias is kind of expensive. And I remember going to the grocery store one time in Jersey. I was in ShopRite and I bought a little can of macadamias. It was like $7 and something. So the girl at the register, she said to me, "You must really like those." I was like, "I do." And I used to eat them all the time. But what happened was one of my coworkers went to Hawaii and brought me back a 3-pack of nuts. And I had a good time. And all of a sudden, my tongue started to swell up. And I was like, please don't tell me I have developed an allergy to macadamia nuts. And I did. And to this day, I'm afraid to eat them. So I don't eat them anymore. But I used to love them. But that doesn't stop me from eating cashews and pecans and pistachios. That doesn't stop me. And hazelnuts. So today is National Nut Day. Sometimes you feel like a nut. Sometimes you don't have a nut today, y'all. Don't overdo it now. Because some of them nuts got high calories, like cashews. I know cashews got a lot of calories. But I love them. That's my favorite nut of all. All right, let's go ahead and get on with our horoscopes brought to you by Noted Astrologer Micah Thyssen. For today, Thursday, we are at October the 22nd. Time is not waiting for anyone. And we're going to kick it up like we always do, and that is with Aries. You will find it easy to learn and excel. You could be drawn to events that concern children. You can make money if you concentrate on producing services that will make domestic chores easier. Listen, anytime you can make people's lives easier, you're probably going to make a lot of money. Anytime you can do that. I don't know. I remember the story of this guy. I'm an inventor. I invented the first plus-size fashion doll. And I remember Georgette and I went to this event, and we talked to this guy. His name was Gary. And all he did was come up with these great inventions, and he would sell them. He would sell them for like hardly nothing, and they would go on to make multi-millions of dollars. But anyway, he told us about the guy named Stanley who invented the dish glove. And so he invented the glove. The yellow dish glove that people wash the dishes with because they don't want to have dishpan hands. And he invented that glove. His name was Stanley. I can't remember his last name. He also invented the squeeze ketchup bottle. But he invented the glove. And what happened was people liked the glove, but they would find that when they would do the dishes would slip out of their hands. So he went back and he put the little bumps on the gloves that you see on the gloves now. And he did the gloves over, and that became a hot item. To this day, I think people still use those gloves. So whenever you can do something to make people's lives better, Aries, go ahead and knock it out the ballpark. Taurus, take time to find out if anyone has a better suggestion before you make arrangements for the whole family. Confusion regarding other people's money and joint ventures will come to a head. Make changes that will heighten your appeal. All right, listen here. You got other people's money you playing with. Now, y'all going to be confused. It's going to be a problem. That's not a good thing. That's not a good thing. All right, Taurus, so watch out what you're doing today. Watch the money, watch the business. Gemini, communication will be the source of your knowledge, and you must spend time with those who have more experience. Be careful not to let friends or peers make you look bad. Turn things around. Make sure that they do their share. Now, here's the thing, Gemini. If you're around people that's trying to make you look bad, they're not your friends. Let me just start out by saying that. So it said, be careful not to let friends or peers make you look bad. Peers could try to make you look bad. Friends should never try to make you look bad. So if you're around people that say they're your friends and they're trying to make you look bad, be aware. Beware. They are not your friends. Just saying. Cancer, you can enhance your reputation if you treat your family and friends with respect and dignity. Deception is apparent. Your emotions are soaring, and if you don't get your way, look out, world. You got a lot going on today, Cancer. You got somebody trying to deceive you. Your emotions are all over the place, but only thing, listen, and to enhance your reputation, treat your family and friends with respect, and everything will be good. And everything else, but watch out for the deception. That's all. And get a grip on your emotions. You know, sometimes y'all get a little too emotional. You do. Leo, family members may want you at home when your heart is telling you to spend time with someone you recently met. Okay. Do your own thing and everything else will settle down. Those you care about may oppose your ideas. Listen here, Leo. Do your thing. Let them listen. I don't want to stay home tonight. I got something else I want to do. So just tell them. It's all right. Just say no. It's okay. One of the most powerful, shortest word in the dictionary. No. No. Virgo. There may be opportunities to attend social functions that are linked to work. Your confidence will stabilize your position. Complete those hobbies you started a long time ago. Listen, stop procrastinating, Virgo, and go ahead and complete that stuff. I'm terrible. I have no room to talk for real, Virgo, because I have projects all over the place that I have not completed. I need to get with them. I got paint going on. I got clay going on. I got decoupage, and I have not completed any of them. So I pretty much suck at that too. So it's okay. All right, listen, I'm going to a song. I'll be right back after the song to give you more of the horoscopes brought to you by Noted Astrologer Micah Thyssen. You're listening to the Good Morning Gwinnett Show. Stay tuned.
Everybody's been saying that you're up to no good. Everyone has been telling me that you got me hood. You're playing it big time. You're feeding me lies. Everyone has been bugging me to sever the ties. But I would never, ever would have believed them. No reason. Sometimes the truth is hard to see. But now the never, ever seems to be over. I saw her, so I'm happy I got freed. Lucky me. Lucky me. I won, got it done. Lucky me. Lucky. I won't let the door hit when I leave. Should've known by your rap sheet that you weren't nice, but now I am telling you I'm going to smile. But I would never, ever would have believed them. No reason. Sometimes the truth is hard to see. But now the never, ever seems to be over. I saw her, so I'm happy I got freed. Lucky me. Lucky me. I won, got it done. Lucky me. Lucky. I won't let the door hit when I leave. I guess that I was born beneath a very lucky star, and in a week or two I won't remember who you are. Man down, he went out of luck, and now it's my time. Ain't no looking back, I'm on the right track. Here she goes. Lucky me. Lucky me. I won, got it done. Lucky me. Lucky.
It's your girl, Audrey Bell Kearney, giving you the daily horoscopes brought to you by noted astrologer Micah Thyssen. And we're going to pick it up with Libra. Hard work will bring rewards. Throw yourself into your profession. Your charm will mesmerize members of the opposite sex. Okay, Libra, be charming. Now listen, make sure you don't mesmerize a nutcase, because sometimes that happens. You don't know they nutted till later, but they start doing crazy stuff. Just make sure, yeah, I know you're mesmerized right now, but fall back, because I feel a little crazy coming on. Sometimes you just never know who you're going to be attracting. The opposite sex could be an opposite sex that's a nut. So just be careful. Scorpio, too many opportunities and too many changes going on. You can get a great deal accomplished if you bring work home. Really? That's what your stars are saying today, Scorp. Your stability will aid you in getting support from your fellow workers. So you can get a lot accomplished if you bring your work home. I don't know. Some people say they do good at home. Some people say they don't. I don't know. When I leave my office, I'm home all the time. But when I leave the office, I try to leave the work right downstairs in the office. Yep, I do. Sagittarius, involvement in groups will be favorable. Business partnerships will prove lucrative. Okay. You could be disillusioned if you let relatives in on your emotional thoughts. Don't expect the whole family to be overjoyed. Listen, don't expect everybody to be happy for you. You know the old saying, everybody is not going to be happy for you. So Sagittarius, if you're expecting the whole family to be overjoyed about something that you're doing, yeah, you're going to be disillusioned. So just don't. Don't even set yourself up for disappointment, because that's exactly what you're going to be doing. Don't do it. Capricorn, you'll be able to borrow money in order to invest. Your passionate move will be well received by your mate. Check your project carefully if you were not the only one contributing to the end result. So you're going to borrow some money to invest. Okay, that could be a good thing. But here's what I would say, Capricorn. If you're going to borrow money from somebody to invest, investments are risky. So please make them aware of the risk before you take their money. Because the worst thing in the world is to take money from people, and then if you lose it all, and you think they knew that you was going to lose it all. You know what I mean? So they need to know that investments are risky, whether it be in the stock market or whether it be in business, it's risky. We took investment money when we started our first company, but they got notes that saying, listen, you do understand that we could lose all of your money. You do understand that, right? And we didn't lose it all, but I think everybody got paid back but one person, and she actually passed away before we got a chance to pay her back. But everybody else got paid back. Because the business did pretty good for a while, for like 5 years. And then after that, we closed it because it was a lot of work and we were separated. Georgette was living in Texas. I was living in Jersey. And it was hard. I got tired of doing a lot of traveling because I did a lot of traveling. I was tired. All right, Aquarius. Offer love and affection instead of conflict and rejection. Older family members will make demands on your time. Plan to get out and do a bit of travel. Yeah, travel sounds amazing. Just be careful as you move about, because we have Rona still running around, and she doesn't care who you are, what you look like, where you're from, what race you are. She don't care about any of that stuff. She attacks us all. So travel sounds great. I'm going to be trying to travel next month for a weekend to a cabin with a fireplace. I'm putting that out to the universe. Don't know where that is. Don't know where to find one. But that's my goal. And as always, I try to be very careful. My fellow fish Pisces, your tendency to take on too much will end in fatigue. Who you telling? Yeah. Don't overindulge in any way. Get out and get active. Let me tell y'all something. Woo. I feel tired all the time. I was so tired yesterday. I had a long day. I had to do a presentation for the chamber. I had to do a conference call. I did a 2-hour training last night. When I tell y'all I was exhausted because I took on too much, and guess what I won't do today? My sign is saying do not take on too much. So fish, I don't know about you, but I'm not taking on much of anything today. After I finish my show, I got to go to the dentist, and I will be relaxing because I got a bowl and I don't want to suck tonight. All right. All right, so that's all the horoscopes I got for you today. I'll be back again on Monday at 10 a.m. to bring you more of the horoscopes brought to you by noted astrologer Micah Thyssen, because today is my Friday. I know, guys, you're almost there too, but today is my Friday. Now, without further ado, we're going to get into our interview with my guest today. My guest today is Dr. Dr. Sarah Porray. She is the CEO and founder of So Blessed Healing. Oh, that the name is amazing. It makes you feel like I can go there and be healed. She says chiropractic services chose her. That's pretty cool. It's pretty nice when your passion choose you and your purpose choose you. Because some of us are still trying to figure out what that is. Me, let me raise my hand. I'm still trying to figure out my purpose. I keep thinking it's me talking to you. Maybe it is. That's why I talk to you 4 days a week. But anyway, Dr. Sarah's going to come on right now. She's going to talk to us about how we can heal ourselves and how she can help us with some modalities to help us feel better. I, for one, suffered terribly with back pain a lot of times. Like this morning I woke up, my neck is hurting. So it's good to have her on the show. So welcome to the show, Dr. Sarah.
Hi, Audrey. Thank you for having me today.
You're very, very welcome. So I know that you were, when you started out on your career path, you were going in a different direction. What direction was that, and what made you decide to go in this direction as a chiropractor?
Well, the start of my journey was in corporate fitness. I started college as a young teenager, and I had an instructor who was a personal trainer, and she had so much energy. I just wanted to be her and do what she did. So I decided to study the sciences and become an exercise physiologist. And at the time, I lived in New York, and I got a job in exercise physiology working for a company that managed private corporate fitness centers. Mm-hmm. And I did that for nearly 10 years. And I just reached a point where I knew that it was time for a change. And so I decided to go back to school, and I started out studying physical therapy. I thought I was gonna become a physical therapist. And I met a chiropractor around that time who just presented the question, why physical therapy? Why not become a chiropractor? And first time meeting this man, and he said to me, you have such great energy. I would hire you right now if I had a position available. Like, I don't know why you're not in this field, and you should be. And I remember going home and talking to my boyfriend at the time, now husband, about how upset I was that somebody put this idea into my head that was not anything I ever would have considered. And it just didn't really make sense that I would react that way. And that was probably the first clue that it was something that I needed to look into. I had never been adjusted before in my life at that point. I just had this funny feeling of a kink in my mid-back, and I thought maybe if somebody cracks me, air quotes, mm-hmm. it'll feel better. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Because everything I had done to that point hadn't really made a difference. So I thought, hey, I'll just go see a chiropractor. And then I met this guy, and he went to Life University in Georgia, and we started talking, and my problem that I was having resolved in probably 2 weeks of seeing him on a regular basis, and it changed my life. So I decided chiropractic school was where I was going to go instead of PT school, and now here I am on the other side of it.
Wow. So, yeah, that is so cool. I never heard of, you said, I'm going to back up a second. You said fitness. What did you call it? You said fitness. It was a name. What was the fitness thing you were doing first?
I was hired as an exercise specialist is what they called it.
Okay.
I studied exercise physiology.
Physiology, that's what it was.
Yeah. So the private corporate fitness world, you go to commercial gyms in New York, like New York Sports Club, or, mm-hmm. There's several others for people that know the tri-state area. And mm-hmm. you've got trainers that you can hire. Well, the other side, the private side of the fitness world is corporate fitness. Mm. And there were companies like at the time I graduated from college, Goldman Sachs was the first one I worked for. Morgan Stanley was one of our clients. Merrill Lynch was one of our clients. So yeah, I started as an exercise specialist, and that was an entry-level position. And I think it was less than a year, I got my first promotion to assistant manager. and I managed the spa portion of that location. And then I think it was a couple years after that, I got my first promotion to general manager. So I got to manage my own facility. And that's what I was doing when I left the profession.
Nice. So, chiropractors kind of get a bad rap sometime, and it's because a lot of people feel like it doesn't help. Now, I've been adjusted, and let me just say this. Before my one adjustment went bad, I was doing fine. And because he was just adjusting my back. And then one day he decided to adjust my neck, and that's where it messed me up. So he hurt my neck, and I was like, I'm never going back again. But I know that I probably need to go back. And I read something. There was a chiropractor here in Gwinnett County. He had a tool or some kind of mechanism that it was looked like a little vibrating thing. And he put it on someone's cervical spine at the top. And it was tapping, and he was saying a lot of times you're off only about a few centimeters or millimeters or something. And because you're off, it could mess up everything else. So he had a little tool that it was actually tapping on one of the vertebrae in the cervical spine. And people were talking about how great they felt after that. So talk a little bit about the profession itself, because I know there are a lot of myths about, chiropractors and what they do and what's not true. So give us some insight about what a chiropractor does and why is it so helpful for us who are seeking pain relief and emotional relief and all this good stuff.
Yes, absolutely. So most people, I think, that don't see chiropractors regularly, or that aren't kind of in that sphere of influence, if you will, if you don't know someone or you don't see someone on a regular basis, you don't know that. You just kind of know, okay, if I'm having back pain, I'm going to go see a chiropractor and they'll help me. And part of the reason why that is that in our history as chiropractors, we have been promoted throughout the health and wellness field as helping people with back pain, as back pain specialists. And we absolutely are. I mean, chiropractors address the bones in the spine, but that's not all we do. That's just what the general population, I would say, think that chiropractic is all about. And so that's what they'll seek out initially. But the truth is that chiropractic is so much more than that. So that's what I'll be explaining to you. So different chiropractors utilize different techniques. So the technique that you were or the tool that you were talking about, there's different techniques that can be used with different tools, and there's different tools that can be used as specific to accomplish whatever technique that you're trying to use. And there's many. If you're not familiar with all of those types of techniques, obviously it's like Latin to you. But essentially the goal is the same, which is to affect the central nervous system, the brain and the spinal cord. So it's not just a lot of people think, okay, I have back pain, I'm going to go see a chiropractor and they're going to crack me and that's going to go away. But the umbrella of chiropractic is so much different than that. It's deeper. There's more to it. There's more that we can accomplish and more that we can affect. And when I say the brain and spinal cord, you may not realize, or you might, that the brain and spinal cord tell the body what to do. Everything that the body does is controlled by the brain, and the spinal cord carries the messages from the brain to the rest of the body. So because of that, you want to try to maintain as little interference in that pathway as possible. Now, I'm not talking about just physical interference, like when bones are out of place. It's not as simple as that. And you and I were talking about that earlier, that there's so many things that happen to us on a daily basis that can interrupt proper and optimal function, such as stress, such as, the stress that's in our environment. So, the air that we breathe, the medications that we take, the foods that we ingest, the emotions that we experience on a daily basis. You may have heard before that birth is the first traumatic event of life because, you travel through this tiny canal and somebody on the other side is probably pulling on you to remove you from your mother's body. So imagine what that can do to your head and your spine and your shoulders. It's part of the process of starting life, and it's important, but there are also things that can happen that are traumatic during that time. So the chiropractic adjustment is very powerful in affecting all of those things that interrupt our body's ability to function optimally on a daily basis. So to me and other chiropractors out there, that might not be what we explain to you on the very first day if we perceive that you're not ready to hear it. Mm-hmm. But the fact is that chiropractic is very powerful on a level that's not just in the physical realm.
So you consider yourself an intuitive chiropractor. What is that?
Yes, ma'am. So the techniques that I use are more energetic in nature. So I am a sensitive person to begin with. So the techniques that are more energetically based, which is basically a way of saying that when I work with a patient, I'm not just going in there and cracking bones. I'm going to talk to you. I'm going to ask you a lot of questions. I'm going to feel you out, so to speak. Learn about what's going on in your life and, read your system, read your body language to tell me more about what's happening with you. It's a gift, I think, that chiropractors strengthen the more they work with people. The more you put your hands on people, the more you talk to people. It's not just the clinical side of asking all the right questions to understand your medical history, but it's also to understand the personal component. What emotional things have happened to you that could play into that low back pain that you're experiencing. So it's not just from a technique side, which, by the way, I, as an energetic chiropractor, I don't always choose a technique that involves cracking someone's bones, which, by the way, the sound that you hear is not your bones actually cracking. So don't let that freak you out. And it doesn't always happen. There doesn't have to be a sound in order for a bone to move. It's kind of like a byproduct of an adjustment that doesn't always happen. But one of the techniques that I use more than one of the techniques that I tend to use involves no cracking bones. So I'm reading energy and moving energy around the body by light contact.
Wow. So, see, that's why I got to come see you, because it's so funny because I have been looking at energy healing probably the last 6 to 8 months. So I've been looking at all the, I've been on Gaia. I'm looking at Gaia about energy healing. I'm looking at YouTube because I felt like even though I'm in pain a lot with my back, I just felt like it wasn't all physical. Like I felt like part of it was emotional and stress. And I'm a business owner, so it's always something going on in the business. So I felt like that. Now, there are a lot of people who don't understand energy healing at all. I've been studying the law of attraction and all that stuff probably since 2000 and since The Secret came out, which I think was 2009 or 2008 or something. And I kind of fell in love with the whole law of attraction, energy healing, and, all that stuff. But a lot of people don't understand it, and they call it woo-woo. What do you say to that as a healing professional?
It doesn't bother me, to be honest. I think, there were times when I was a student where I felt different ways, felt different things. You know, it's part of the journey to becoming a full-fledged chiropractor, where you're figuring out how you feel about things, and, you know, where your philosophy lies, and how you want to practice. And at this point, I'm embracing whatever comes with it. You know, if people want to refer to what I do as woo-woo, that's fine, because I understand that. I mean, I used to be that person that didn't understand where these things were coming from. But my intuition, like you, Audrey, like yours, that intuition that tells you, you know, I suspect that this back pain that I'm experiencing isn't just, you know, a muscle or a bone, or, you know, however I walked down the stairs yesterday. I think maybe it has something to do with all the stress in my life. You know, that's your intuition. And my intuition tells me that, you know, the people that need what it is that I have to offer will find me, just like I found the techniques that I use. So it's okay. It doesn't matter to me. You know, I can maybe help to explain what goes on behind the woo-woo and make it more scientific, make you, you know, help you to understand the science of where that comes from. And, you know, if you're interested, if you want to get that geeky about it, and if not, then you'll just feel the effects of those techniques that I use and how we interact, and that will be enough to have you want to come back. You know, it really comes down to the experience, I think. So what I've really tried to do in creating my practice and my space is to really convey the feeling that I want to convey for other people when they're in my space. That
is so amazing. You know, I look at Dr. Joe Dispenza, and I truly believe with everything in me that you can heal yourself. I remember my mom had breast cancer in 2010, and I had just found out about Louise Hay. And it, you know, when you get a diagnosis like that, it's just so unexpected. It turns your life upside down. And I had just come from a meeting with Gloria Gaynor, who wrote "I Will Survive." I literally had just left her house. She had a beautiful house in New Jersey, and I was in her house thinking, "Man, this house is amazing." And I had just left a meeting with her. We were planning to do some business together, and when I walked in the door, my mom was sitting in the chair. It was raining. I'm never going to forget that day. It had rain that day. It was in September. And I walk in the house, and she's sitting in the chair, and she's just really still. And I said to her, "What's wrong?" And she said, "My mammogram came back." And I was like, "Yeah." And she said, "I have cancer." I was like, "What?" So that threw my whole life into a tailspin at that moment. And I remember her going getting a lumpectomy. And she came back and they said, "Okay, everything is good." Well, 2 years later, it came back. And when it came back, it came back with a vengeance. And so they was like, she has triple negative, and that's a very bad, aggressive form of breast cancer. So they had to give her chemo. But my mom had really long hair. Like my grandmother, my great-grandmother, my aunt, some of my cousins had really long hair. And my mom took it like a champ, said Dr. Sarah. She took it like a champ. I, on the other hand, fell apart. Not in front of her, because I had to remain strong. And I remember when she went through chemo. Now, she didn't cry. They had to do a mastectomy on the left side. She didn't winch about that. She's like, "Yeah, if they got to take it, they got to take it." This is her attitude. I'm like, inside, I'm like, "Oh, my God." Like, I can't even imagine. And she's like, "Well, you know, it's better that I have one and I'm here. And, you know, if they got to take it, they got to take it." Every night I would cry. She didn't even know. Just the thought of them having to remove her breast. But she took it like a champ. Yeah. When she fell apart was when her hair came out.
Her hair, yeah.
I come downstairs, and she's sitting in the chair again. I'm like, "What's wrong?" And she touched her head, and a handful of hair came out, and she lost it. And I was like, "Oh, my God, it's going to grow back." But she lost it. But I remember buying the book, You Can Heal Yourself by by Louise Hay. And I said, Mom, you gotta read these books. You gotta make sure it doesn't come back. And so we began this journey of Heal Thyself with Louise Hay. And so I know that a lot of people don't believe in that kind of stuff, but I do. And I know that people like you are really helping people. I've read some of the testimonials on your website, and what it seems like you have developed a technique called aroma touch. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, sure. First, I'm sorry to hear about your mom. My dad passed away from cancer, so I feel your pain.
Yeah, she's better though. The chemo and the radiation did a number on her joints. But she's been a survivor now for 10 straight years, and we are grateful and thankful for that.
That's such a blessing.
It is.
Good for her. Okay, so aroma touch. This is not my technique. It was actually developed by a chiropractor who works for doTERRA, which is an essential oil, proprietary essential oil company. Mm-hmm. They sell certified therapeutic grade essential oils. I'm not going to go into that, but this technique, because it was developed by a chiropractor, is part of the reason why I sought it out to learn and implement in my practice, because it just goes together so beautifully as a complementary therapy to what I already do. I would describe it as a light touch application of essential oils. There's 8 different essential oils. They all address different properties of the system, from immunity. So the idea is to help boost your immunity, to help decrease inflammation in the body, which is great for all of us. Mm-hmm. So many inflammatory agents all around us all day long, and to help calm your entire system. So with stress management. And so I find that when people experience this modality along with chiropractic, it just helps people to progress with their healing journey that much faster. Because let's face it, especially right now, people are a little bit afraid to be around other people. They're afraid to get close to other people. And if people can get past that fear for a little bit, the touch, human touch, that connection is really important. It's a very important process. And
I think I lost you. Okay.
So, did you?
I hear you. You faded out for a second, but I hear you now.
Okay. I was just saying how important touch is in the healing process. However, however nervous people are right now, it is needed, and it's an important part of the healing process. So that's why I chose to add it as a service in my practice.
I know people are really afraid. I was afraid for a minute. I had to speak at PodFest in March, and when I got back, everything got locked down. And about 2 weeks later, I lost my uncle to COVID-19, and in about 2 weeks after that, I lost the best man in my wedding to COVID-19. So I freaked completely out. I had just opened up a podcast studio in Decula. I closed it down. I could not go out the house. I didn't go out the house from March to June. I stayed in the house. I wouldn't go to the grocery store. I wouldn't do anything. I would go to the deck. That was it. That was as far as I would go. And so I totally freaked out. So I understand how people are feeling, because I still kind of feel that way, but I'm not as bad. As a matter of fact, I'm a lot better. I went out for my anniversary, which was June the 7th. We went to Helen on June the 6th. And when I tell you, Dr. Sarah, that felt so good, because I hadn't been out the house since like March the 10th. And it felt so good just to be out. And now people were out there. They weren't afraid at all. Me, on the other hand, I was ducking and dodging folks with my mask on, but it felt so good to be out. And so just last week we were bowling. And so, I was like, I got to get back to start living, but I need to be safe. But we started bowling, my husband and I and Georgette. We were on the same team. We bowl in the league. And when I first went to the bowling alley, I felt comfortable enough to say, you know what, I'm not going with my mask at the bowling alley. This is the only place I wouldn't wear my mask. And then like the week when the president came out and said he had COVID-19, I said, oh no, I got to put my mask back on. But it is so hot to bowl in. So last week I'm up there bowling with the mask on. I'm hot. And I pulled the mask down because it was so hot. And you're trying to concentrate. And somebody behind me sneezed. And when I tell you, I think I bowled a gutter ball because it's like, what just, because now you're freaking out in your head. Like, did they just sneeze? And so when I came back, my husband said, what you was doing up there? I said, did you hear somebody sneeze behind? It was hilarious. But people are afraid. A lot of people are still afraid. And the fact that they need human touch is so important. But I don't think they realize a lot of people don't realize how important it is. But that process of just not being connected is totally depressing. Totally.
Yeah, definitely. We need to, even if you're just in your home circle with the people that you see every day, make sure that you seek each other out for hugs, make the time. Hug. It's an oxytocin booster, which is an important chemical that we need. That, and when you're wearing a mask, try to breathe through your nose, not your mouth. Just you want to try to avoid irritation to your throat and those airways as much as possible. So when you're wearing a mask, just try to breathe through your nose. That's one of the best pieces of advice I can give. But yeah, it's so important for us to maintain that bodily contact with other people. And a lot of people don't realize this either, but that's part of how we adapt to the viruses and the bacteria in our environment. We are made up of viruses and bacteria, and we need that variety in our lives in order to keep our immune system strong and thriving. So there's a lot that you can do to affect yourself and how strong your immune system is and how much you get sick. And those are also pieces of information that, you're going to get from me as your chiropractor. So it's not just a back pain solution. I'll say that.
It doesn't sound like it. That's why I'm excited to try to come to Marietta and get just to sit and talk to you and help, and so you can help me, because I know mine is just not all physical. I know that, and so it's really trying to work through all the mental stuff, because I know that I want to do energy healing, and I believe I can be healed that way. But seriously, Dr. Sarah, I am so in business mode almost 24/7 till I don't even know how to relax long enough to heal myself. So I'm just going to be honest. So my listeners are listening. This is how I am. When my husband can tell you, he'll wake up at 2:00 sometimes and I'm writing notes. I just can't help it. And it's crazy. And I'm sure that has a lot to do with the way I feel, but I love what I do. So I'm not complaining. I just know that it's probably taking a toll on my health at this point. And so I know I need to get that checked before it takes me down. Now, I want to switch gears, and I want to talk about the profession. There are a lot of people right now. I feel like we are on a path to healing as a whole in the world. And there are people trying to find their purpose, and they want to find something that lights them up when they wake up in the morning. Like doing my podcast 4 days a week lights me up. This is the one thing I can tell anybody I'm super, super consistent about. Even though I do a million other things, this is the one thing I'm really, really, really consistent about. But there are people right now who are saying, I want to do something. I may want to be a chiropractor. What would you tell that person who's trying to find themselves and they feel like this is my calling, like it was your calling? How would they go about getting into that profession, and what should they know about the profession before they even enter?
I think if it's something that someone's thinking about, then the best thing that they can do to help them take the next step and help turn them, the process in the direction that's right for them is by going to visit other chiropractors in the field. Maybe going to a life leadership weekend, if they can do that, go to visit a chiropractic school that's near them, talk to other people that see chiropractors. I honestly think that when it comes to your life passion, I really consider myself to be just very blessed, and that's how my business name came about. That's another story, but I don't think that it needs to be that difficult. And I am an analytical person, and I really like to make good decisions. But what I've found is that when it's a really important decision, it just happens organically. You know, I'm shown which way I'm supposed to go based on trust. You know, I believe that things are going to work out, and I trust that. And so I don't sit back and wait for things to happen. I take logical steps like what I just described, you know, going to talk to other chiropractors, going to visit a chiropractic school, you know, whatever the case may be. But at the end of the day, I really think that if you can get in tune with your gut and your heart, that will lead you in the right direction every time. And so if you're thinking about it, that's the first part of your gut telling you this is something that you need to explore. And then it will just manifest from there. And that might sound woo-woo, but it works for me.
You know, it's so funny because in the podcast world, we're very helping. Like, we will talk to each other and we will give advice to each other. And not every industry is like that. And so the fact that you're saying that your industry is that way, you can, because, you know, a lot of times people can see that they perceive they're like, okay, that's my competition, I can't talk to them. And one of the things we are really proud of in the podcast community is that we don't really think like that. And if we do, it's not verbalized. So we're always saying, yeah, we're very helpful. You can call a podcast and ask a question, ask for an introduction, and it's the truth. So for you to say, go talk to other chiropractors and, you know, do these weekends, and they're willing to talk to you, I think that's amazing, because you don't hear that a lot in a lot of industries. They're like, yeah, nobody's going to talk to you in that industry. You're the competition. So I think that's pretty cool right out the gate.
What? I think there is competition in every field. I think it exists, but you forge relationships with people that you know, that aren't that way. You find your people. And I have to say that it's been a great journey for me with my colleagues. You know, I've found people that have been in practice longer than I, who have really helped me in the process to get to the point that I'm at today. So you find your people.
Yeah. And that's what when I went to the first podcast event, like the big one, I was like, oh my God, I found my people. Those exact words is what are the words that I said. I'm like, these are my people. It was hilarious. Yeah. I was like, these are my people. Yeah. I found my people. It was such an amazing experience. And so I did that last year in 2019. I went to the first major podcast event, and I was like, I found my people. And then in 2020, I was one of the speakers at the event. I was so excited. I was like, oh my God. Aww. So it's such an amazing thing when you find your people. Like, you know, those are your people. You hang out with them. You talk the same talk. It's amazing. Now, let me ask you this, because I know that I've run across medical professionals who have decided not to take insurance. And I was like, why would you do that? And they was like, it's a lot of red tape. Like, I met a pediatrician, and she has a membership program for the patients. And I was like, I had never heard of that. And she said, no, this is like one of the oldest financial techniques ever. And I was like, I had never heard of it. So when it comes to going to a chiropractor, what type of fees should we expect, and how often should we go?
Okay. Well, it depends on who you go to. Every chiropractor is an individual, so they choose how to run their business. I am one of those people that chooses not to deal with insurance, and reason being, it's their rules, and they are not trained in my specialty. So to me, I would have to compromise my integrity in terms of how I choose to practice, and I would be forced to charge a lot more up front to compensate me for the loss that I would incur having to, you know, basically follow their protocol that they set forth. So a lot of chiropractors, I get the sense today are leaning towards that kind of model, a non-insurance model or a membership model, like what you just mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
For me, since I'm so new in practice, my services at this point are a la carte, so it's per service.
Mm-hmm.
But my fees are also, from what I've seen, quite a bit lower than some of my counterparts. So for right now, that makes sense for me. That doesn't mean that at some point I won't choose to go the membership route, especially if I have people that are ready to sign up for X amount of visits, like they like what I have to offer and they want to continue. Right now, because I'm so new in the game, it makes sense for me to sort of play some of those things by ear. And that's what I mean when I say it sort of depends on who you go to see.
Mm-hmm.
Now, pretty much these days, any chiropractor that you're going to go to see, they're going to suggest a care plan, which is, will kind of dictate how many times you come to see them in a week or a month or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And your care plan may be based on, the amount of sessions that you purchase overall. It may partially be determined by whatever issues you're coming in for initially, because say, you come in for pain and you want that pain to resolve as quickly as possible, you may find yourself coming in more frequently on the front end and then less frequently on the back end, understanding that at some point you're going to need a chance to be reevaluated and, see what your new baseline is so that you can determine where you go from there. So I see it as a very fluid, flexible kind of system for me personally. And I think a lot of other chiropractors practice that way.
Mm-hmm.
Some are more rigid. It just depends.
Okay, and that's good to know. Yeah, I've met quite a few doctors who said, and I didn't know the reason. I met a therapist, and she was like, I don't take insurance. And I had never heard. I'm like, what? And then I met the pediatrician who said the same thing. She's like, I don't take insurance. And I was like, really? But her model really, I was amazed. I was like, so you have a membership model like a gym model? She's like, yep. She said, and I do. She has a very small caseload, she said, which allows her to really focus on her patients. I thought that was pretty cool. She makes house calls, mm-hmm. which I was like, what? Mm-hmm. She makes house calls. Yeah. She's like, I get to know my patients. They stay with me until they grow up. And I was like, that's amazing. Yeah. So she has taken on a tradition from back in the day and brought it into, 2020 with the whole membership model, mm-hmm. and I would come to your house to check on the baby. I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. So I think that's pretty cool that in this day and age, we can all figure out a way to do our business the way we want to do it. And I think that's important. When I first started doing this podcast, and I told people I was going to talk live 4 days a week, they were like, are you nuts? And I was like, probably, because most podcasters will record and then they will edit and they will upload. And not me, I'm live. And so you're going to get what you're going to get on a Monday through Thursday, me live. And so they like, you are crazy. I was like, but I enjoy what I do. So it's fun for me. So we're about out of time. This has been amazing. I would definitely set up an appointment because I definitely love everything you said. I've actually bought some doTERRA oils, and I went to I found out about an event on the show one morning, and the woman was having just a meetup, and I went to go. I said, you know what? When I get finished doing the show, I'm gonna go to the meetup. And she was a doTERRA agent. I don't know what you call it, agent, representative, and she poured some orange oil in some ice cold water, and I was like, that was delicious. When I tell you refreshing, like I had never tasted before, I was like, that is delicious. And she probably knew that was the effect. That's why she did it. So I wound up spending about $100 on oils. But it was so good. I was like, that was amazing. But anyway,
yeah.
Tell people how to contact you. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say I have a very personal story as to why essential oils have become very important in my everyday life. So we could maybe share that for another time.
No, share now. No. You share it right now because I got a question once you share. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, first of all, every person is unique. try to honor that in my practice. I'm not a one-size-fits-all practitioner. I don't believe in that, and that's the other reason why I would be compromising my integrity if I went with the insurance model, because it would sort of force me to do that. And one of those things is essential oils. Maybe it's not going to work for every person, and that's fine. I understand that, but I understand that when something does work for you, it is a highly personal connection that you make with that thing. And that doesn't mean that you're going to necessarily use it every single day. But so for me, I purchased or signed up with doTERRA when my dad found out that he had just weeks left to live. And I knew that I wanted to be able to support his system with essential oils. And at this time I was still in school. So I took time off so that I could go up to New York, which is where my family lives, and be with him during that time. And it was shortly after he passed that everyone in my family, and I had to laugh when you told the story about the person sneezing behind you, because I was with my family and everybody was sick. And it was the same year that my dad passed, and I hadn't been sick in a while, but I went to the grocery store with my mom, and right before we got out of the car, she turned towards me and sneezed right in my face. And normally I wouldn't be deterred by something like someone sneezing. That's just not the way that I react. But when somebody sneezes in my face, I'm like, oh, come on.
Right.
That was the reaction. Come on. I'm pretty sure my mouth was open, like this isn't ideal. So add that to the stress of the trip. My husband and I went from Rochester, New York to Albany at around 1 o'clock in the morning. We traveled by bus to make it to my godson's christening. And it was a lot of stress that year, going from all of these things happening, traveling a lot, being around sick people. My immune system was a little bit weakened. So I ended up getting really sick when I was staying with my friends. I didn't know what was happening. I thought that I had strep throat because I had the worst sore throat that I've had since I was a child. So I went to urgent care when I was in New York, and the test came back negative. The sore throat lasted for a few days. It turned into pink eye. It turned into the worst cough I've ever had that lasted for more than a month. And every medical intervention that I tried did not have any effect on whatever symptoms I was having. So I said, you know what? I'm a chiropractor. We do natural. So let me try natural and let me lean on my essential oils. And so I did some specific juices for the cough, and I did essential oils, and those things worked. And ever since that time of getting really, really sick and feeling horrible, I just decided I don't want to feel this bad ever again. And so I started using essential oils regularly every day to boost my immune system, along with other things. And I have not been sick since, and that was 2.5 years ago.
Wow, that is a cool story. So, I think a lot of people like essential oils. I think the problem that me included, we fall into is like, okay, we don't know which brand is a good brand. Like it's because now it's like I said before, I think the universe is kind of changing because people are becoming more aware of, and conscious about their health and living and energy and healing and all of these things. And so because mainstream, businesses have said, okay, this is ticking up. Let's just put out some stuff. And I think one of the things is trying to find a product that you could truly believe that's real and true, that just doesn't have a label slapped on it, because that's what you're looking for. So, and I've had doTERRA, so I do doTERRA, and I think it's amazing stuff. And I have a bunch upstairs. So, yeah. But thank you so much for sharing that story. Now we are out of time for real. How can people contact you?
People can find me at soulblessedhealing.com. That's my website. They can email me at drsarah@soulblessedhealing.com. And I would say those are the two best ways to contact me right now.
All right, Dr.
If
Sarah.
you go to my website,
Yes.
there's a link to my email on my website. So if you want to just go to my website, that works as well.
So I'm going to go, guys. I'm going to go and see Dr. Sarah, and I'm going to have lunch with my husband that day. He works in Marietta, so he has a hike every morning, Dr. Sarah. We live in Lawrenceville. And so, yeah, we live in Lawrenceville, and he works in Marietta. So mornings, getting there is fine. Getting home, another story. But I think I'm going to surprise him and come and have lunch after I come from seeing you, because I'm sure I'm going to feel amazing when I do. But thank you so much for being my guest this morning. Thank you so much for sharing all of this great information with you guys. And listen, guys, it's not woo-woo. It really isn't. It really does help. And it's good to go to a professional who can help you. And I swear, I've gone to chiropractors before. And after my last visit, I was like, I'm never going again. But I will come back and I will put on this, I'll tell you about my experience on the show, because I believe it's going to be an amazing one for me, because I do need to figure out some things right now. So that's my plan. So thank you again for being my guest today and just sharing all this great information with us. And I will be there to see you soon.
Wonderful. Thank you for having me, Audrey. It was a pleasure.
You're welcome. Have a wonderful weekend.
You too.
All right. So listen, guys, I'm going to go to a song. I'll be right back after the song to give you my word of inspiration for the day. So stay tuned.
A million people in the crowd, but I only see your face in all the lights. And as the bass keep pounding on me, baby, I really wanna make you mine. I don't really care about love. I don't really care about happy ever after. Something about you gives me hope. Something about you, yeah. When the sun goes down and the night sky's falling, do you believe in one-time lovers? 'Cause deep inside of my wildest dreams, you'll be by my side. When the sun goes city dancing through the night, but I'm not there. You've got me soaring in the clouds. And as the ocean is surrounding me, baby, I'm sure we lost track of time. I don't really care about love. I don't really care about happy ever afters. Something about you gives me hope. Something about you, yeah. When the sun goes down and the night sky's falling, do you believe in one-time lovers? 'Cause deep inside of my wildest dreams, you'll be by my side. When the sun goes down.
Welcome back. So listen, guys, that's all I got for you today. But before I go, I want to give you my word of inspiration. And I got this word off of LinkedIn. There was a young lady on LinkedIn. She was from Nigeria, and she was studying to be a doctor. And she was younger, though, and she said she wanted to be a doctor. And she said one of her family members told her, girl childs don't be doctors in Nigeria. And so she said that kind of messed her up for a minute. So she went on to school. She got all these degrees in different things. She became a pharmacist and some other things. But deep down in her spirit, she knew she wanted to be a doctor. And so she decided, you know what? Screw what my family members said. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go to school to be a doctor. And she became a doctor. And she said, this was a quote that she said. She said, I have not yet arrived, but I am proud of where I am now. Oh, I thought that was so powerful. Let me say it again. I have not yet arrived, but I am proud of where I am now. Her name is, okay, I'm going to mess this up, but it's Ifeanyi Ezudu. Ifeanyi Ezudu. I thought that was such a powerful, powerful statement, because a lot of times we're on a road to go somewhere and we forget to be proud of where we are right now and all of the accomplishments that we've made, because we're on this mission. And I'm me included. Like, I had to stop for a second, like, wait a minute. I have not arrived at where I want to go, but I am proud of where I am right now. And I've been doing this for 23 years. And, you know, the freedom that I have gotten over the years to be able to do the things I want to do without having someone tell me I can't go to lunch, or I can't go use the bathroom, or I can't take vacation, or I can't spend 33 days going through radiation with my mom when she had breast cancer. Yeah, I am proud of where I am right now. And I had to embrace that for a second last night. And that was probably the last thing I read before I went to sleep. And I thought that was so amazing. I was like, you know what? That's going to be my word of inspiration for the day, for tomorrow's, which is today's show. So thank you again for listening. Thank you to Dr. Sarah Porray for being my guest today. She gave us some great information. Be sure to check out her website, soulblessedhealings.com, and email her. And, you know, energy healing and all that stuff is not woo-woo. There's definitely a ton of science behind it. I'm talking about a ton, because I've been studying it for the last probably 8 months. There's a ton of information out there about energy healing and all of the things that she spoke about. But here's the thing. If you don't want to study it, just go visit her, because I'm going to visit her, even though I have been studying, because my health is so important to me right now. And you know, I can't always say that has been the case, but it is right now. And it maybe because I'm getting a lot older and I want to stay here a little bit longer. I'm not ready to get in the boxes yet, because I feel like my work is not done. Now, I know only God can say when that is, but I'm believing that it's not yet. So that's my thing. Thank you again for listening. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you spent the last hour and 7 minutes with me, and I appreciate you. Be sure to follow me on Good Morning. If you missed an episode of this show, go to goodmorninggwinnett.com. Follow me on Facebook at Good Morning Gwinnett. Follow me on Instagram at Good Morning Gwinnett. And follow me on Twitter at GM Gwinnett. And go to Apple Podcasts, find your favorite episode, and give it 5 stars. And check this out. If you don't listen on Apple Podcasts or you listen on Spotify, look me up on Spotify. Give it 5 stars there as well. I really appreciate you for listening. I'll be back again Monday. I was about to say tomorrow. I'll be back again Monday at 10 a.m., God willing. Stay safe out there. And until next time, y'all, make it a great day. Bye now.
You've been listening to Good Morning Gwinnett. Make sure to tune in Monday through Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time to find out what's happening around Gwinnett. If you like this episode, subscribe now and share with your friends. To learn more about Noise Media Network, visit noisemedia.us.